2025 has already been a big year for WWE, and it could be set to get even bigger, with several former WWE superstars possibly set to return to the company at differing points this year. From former champions to WWE Hall of Famers, we'll let you know of 5 names that could be on their way back to WWE this year. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into, and we're going to have a countdown video today talking about ex-WWE superstars that could be on their way back to World Wrestling Entertainment at various points over the next few months. Some are surprising, some are not that surprising, pretty obvious with what we've seen recently on WWE television. We've already seen this year names debut that have never stepped foot in WWE before. We've seen returns as well, and possibly we're set to see even more when it comes to ex-WWE superstars that are on their way back into WWE. So be sure to smash a like on the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Let's get in to some ex-WWE stars that could be set to return to World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's begin with Aleister Black. This one's obvious, isn't it? This one's very, very obvious because we've already seen the teasers, we've already seen the vignettes of the former NXT champion making his way back to WWE. Formerly known, of course, as Aleister Black. During his time in WWE, he was Malachi Black in AEW. I suppose out of this list is the most likely one to happen because it's already happening. As far as we know, Aleister Black has already put pen to paper on a brand new WWE contract. Malachi Black left WWE. He was released by the company, Aleister Black, back in 2021 when WWE seemingly was releasing everyone coming out of the pandemic, and there were rumors that WWE was trying to trim the fat, as it were, and gear up for a sale, which did eventually happen, of course, the merger with UFC to form TKO Group Holdings. And then Malachi Black would make his AEW debut very shortly afterwards because actually he was still on an NXT contract which has a 30-day non-compete clause as opposed to the 90-day non-compete clause that you see on main roster contracts. So he signed with AEW, but very quickly after that feud with Cody Rhodes and All Elite Wrestling, it just didn't really live up to the hype, did it? For various reasons. He didn't get defeated many times. He didn't really have many singles matches at all. He was largely involved with the House of Black, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, trios matches. And he never hit the heights that he did in WWE, particularly under Paul Levesque. Now, that name, Paul Levesque, Triple H, is very important in all of this. Once Triple H actually got control of WWE Creative back in 2022, the rumors already started, didn't they, that Malachi Black wanted out of AEW, he wanted to go back to WWE, and he wanted to have creative given to him by Paul Levesque. Because, of course, Malachi Black, Aleister Black's best run in his WWE career was on the NXT brand. He was the NXT champion. He was kind of a new generation version-ish of The Undertaker, a different kind of character, a dark character, somewhat supernatural, but not too far with the supernatural stuff. Had a really amazing entrance as well, coming up almost out of a coffin. He got called up to the main roster. Paul Heyman was a big fan when Paul Heyman was the executive director of Monday Night Raw in 2019 into 2020, and he did get a bit of a push there, but Vince McMahon never really saw him as the guy, hence why he was released. Now, Malachi Black, as I mentioned, throughout his AEW run, had been linked with a move back to WWE, and we found out earlier this year that his contract with All Elite Wrestling had expired. As soon as his contract expired, it was pretty well known that he would be on his way back to WWE. And we found out just a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown that vignettes have already started. 2 weeks ago, at the time of recording this video, when SmackDown emanated from Barcelona, Spain, we saw the first of the Malachi Black, Aleister Black return vignettes. This past week on SmackDown, at the time of recording this video, when they were in Bologna, Italy, we saw the second vignette, another teaser. The prior week it had a 4. This week it also had a 4, but maybe a 3 in the background. I think the expectation is Aleister Black going to be returning to WWE, most likely according to reports after WrestleMania. So Aleister Black is going to be one of those post-WrestleMania surprises, most likely on SmackDown because we've only seen those vignettes on SmackDown. It also makes sense. His wife's in WWE, Zelina Vega. She's also on SmackDown, so it would make sense that he's going to be on the blue brand when he indeed does make his return to World Wrestling Entertainment. This is an interesting one. Tyler Breeze. Could the former NXT superstar also be on his way back to WWE? Now, Tyler Breeze is an interesting one because whilst he was released by WWE a while ago, he still remained in the WWE universe, shall we say. Now, it's been largely working on social media stuff. He's been working on the video gaming channel Up, Up, Down, Down with Xavier Woods, Austin Creed, whatever you want to call him. He has actually worked as a writer in NXT as well. However, quite recently, he did note that he wanted to return to wrestling on a major platform in the United States. Now, major platforms in the United States is really WWE, AEW, TNA. That's about it. Obviously, there are other pro wrestling companies. There's MLW, there's NWA, but certainly none on that sort of more mainstream level. Certainly like WWE. Then you go to AEW, and then maybe you go to TNA. As part of the relationship, of course, now between WWE and TNA, there's a way you could get a crossover there. The point being is that he has been quite outspoken about wanting to return to the ring. He didn't believe his time as an in-ring performer was entirely done, and he could absolutely make an on-screen return to WWE at some point. It would be exciting to see him return to NXT. Of course, he was a cornerstone of the black and gold era under Paul Levesque. Once he got called up to the main roster very quickly after a feud with Dolph Ziggler on WWE television back in, 2014, 2015, he was never really seen as someone with potential by Vince McMahon and was largely relegated to a comedy role at most. They did have the Fashion Files on SmackDown Live with his tag team with Fandango, Breezango. He could go to TNA, of course, possibly, where he could reunite that tag team and possibly the Fashion Police reunite, but that wouldn't be in WWE. But given he's already involved with WWE-related projects, it would make sense that Tyler Breeze could easily slot back in to WWE television. Of course, he does have a great relationship with Xavier Woods, and the New Day have turned heel. Maybe Tyler Breeze becomes an unofficial member of the New Day or something like that. Maybe he becomes someone that does replace Big E. Of course, at one point, there was plans to replace Big E with his absence of his broken neck with Odyssey Jones. So why not Tyler Breeze? Possibly he could be someone that is part of that faction, has history with both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Anything's possible, and Tyler Breeze could be on his way back to WWE. Let's talk about this one, Billy Gunn, a name from AEW. This might be one of the more surprising names that we see on this list. Now, you will say, absolutely no way, right? Billy Gunn, he's currently contracted to AEW. He seems very happy there. His sons are in AEW, the Gunns. They're former AEW World Tag Team Champions. And there's no way he's going to go back. Of course, previously, he was contracted to WWE. He was a coach. He was a trainer in NXT. And because of maybe some outside of WWE antics involving powerlifting and certain elevated levels of certain something, you can research it, he was let go from the company. And then he's been with AEW since the start. He's been a coach, producer, backstage person, active in-ring performer with AEW since the company's foundation back in 2019. Billy Gunn has always been there. But recently, Gunn was confirmed to be included in the DLC, the downloadable content for WWE 2K25. And while, of course, that doesn't exactly mean, oh, he's coming back, we're going to get DX reunion, he's going to be back at the Performance Center coaching, he's going to be on WWE television, it's at least, I suppose, an indication, an idea that he's not completely removed from WWE, and just because he's contracted to AEW now doesn't mean there wouldn't be openness for him returning. Now, while the exact details of his AEW contract, it's not known. We don't know when they're going to expire. We don't really know if it's just a talent contract, if it's just a producer contract. We don't know a lot of the finer details when it comes to Billy Gunn's contract. But recently, he's kind of found his creative up in the air. The Acclaimed is no more. Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, they split up. Max Caster is doing a heel singles run, doing his open challenge every single week. He thinks he's the best wrestler alive and loses most often. We haven't really seen Anthony Bowens since. It doesn't look like he's going to be reuniting with his sons anytime soon. So we don't really know. Possibly there could be an indication that maybe Billy Gunn could be on his way back. Of course, we know that he is good friends with Triple H and he is well respected as a coach, as a producer. He was part of the Tough Enough coaching series back in 2015 and again was very well respected for his coaching work at the Performance Center, but it was because of external pressures that he was released, and that's largely since been rehabilitated. I mean, he still wrestles. Would he want to do that in WWE? We don't know those things, but certainly, the fact that he was included in a WWE licensed video game as downloadable content did have some people to suggest that maybe could we see Billy Gunn on his way back. And his former tag team partner Road Dogg is once again the head writer for SmackDown. That just goes to show, if you're a friend of Paul Levesque, anything's possible now when it comes to WWE. Road Dogg, one name that was also at one point gone from WWE, and after Triple H got to power, he was back shortly thereafter. So I would say this one is unlikely, but I just don't think you can rule it out just yet. let's talk about Saraya, another one currently under contract to AEW, but she's already recently been making noises that her time in pro wrestling is coming to an end. And if indeed the former AEW Women's World Champion is set to retire soon, over the course of maybe the next 12 months, would she want to do it in AEW or would she want to do it in WWE? She's previously confirmed that her contract with AEW expires in September of 2025. It was up last year. They agreed terms for a new contract or just to extend the contract by an extra year. And she has, as I mentioned, recently alluded to planning to retire once this contract finishes. Now, she noted she didn't want to retire on top. She reflected on her time in AEW, noting that she tried to put over as many people as possible on the way out. But, of course, before she signed with AEW, she's even admitted there were conversations with Paul Levesque, with Triple H, about getting her cleared to wrestle in WWE. This idea that she couldn't get cleared in WWE, it would be impossible for her to get cleared, is just not accurate. Now, we don't know if she would pass the WWE medical. We don't know if she would pass the WWE physical. But she has confirmed that prior to her getting released and her contract expiring with WWE, she did have conversations with Triple H, with Paul Levesque, and they said, what do you want to do? How can we get you back? And actually, would you want to wrestle again? We can look into that. We can look into having you wrestle again. We can get your neck checked out, fixed, or possibly we can look into ways to get you involved. Now, ultimately, she decided that that's not what she wanted to do. Her contract expired. She left. She signed with AEW. She went through the process of getting cleared. She has wrestled several matches since. She is still on somewhat of a reduced schedule because of the severity of her neck injury, and others have suggested that it's never been the same Saraya post-retirement that we saw prior in her WWE run as Paige. But given the nature of her WWE exit, of course, she was a general manager for a period of time. She could come back to be a general manager again. She could just come back and have one final match in WWE to say that I had this final match. I went out the way I wanted to go out. Didn't go out on top, but I wanted to prove that I changed. Because, of course, prior to her having to retire, there were issues, suspensions, obviously a lot of outside of the ring drama involved in her personal life, and maybe the former Paige wants to right that wrong before riding off into the sunset, before her body makes it literally impossible to ever wrestle again. So this whole AEW tenure of her career could have been a situation to get back on track, get back in the ring, and maybe she finishes up her time in WWE later on this year, considering that her contract with AEW expires in September, and as of right now, on the 23rd of March, it feels like it's unlikely that Saraya would resign. I suppose anything is possible, but if she is planning to retire, one would think she would probably do it in WWE, or at least have a run in WWE. Maybe she would retire in the UK in her family's home promotion, the Knights promotion. That's certainly possible too. And finally, a former WWE name that could be on their way back this year is Brie Bella. This one does feel quite obvious, doesn't it? Of course, her twin sister Nikki Bella made a return in the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble match, and it does feel like her twin sister could follow suit. Now, both Bellas, they left WWE, and their contracts expired, and there were rumors and reports of Nikki and Brie possibly signing with AEW. At the time, of course, Bryan Danielson was an active in-ring performer. Danielson still under contract, we believe, to AEW. Maybe not as a talent, but he has been backstage, and he's certainly part of the AEW family. And it feels like if Danielson's going to continue to wrestle, at least part-time or occasionally, it feels like it would be with AEW. So maybe some say, wow, it doesn't make sense for Brie to go back to WWE. But maybe for the Hall of Famers, because the Bella Twins are Hall of Famers, they could be on their way back. And after Nikki made her return in the Women's Royal Rumble earlier this year, Brie was asked if she would be interested in coming back, and she's made comments hinting that she could have some surprises in store. On top of that as well, there have been reports and rumors suggesting that in this summer, in July of 2025, we're going to be getting the second ever WWE Evolution Premium Live event, which of course is the all-women's pay-per-view. Now, prior to the Women's Royal Rumble back in 2022, the last match that we really saw Nikki and Brie, the last run we saw them have in the company, was leading into Evolution. Nikki Bella faced off against Ronda Rousey at that show, and possibly with the second Evolution event coming up later on this year, maybe that would be the time that the Bella Twins do indeed return to WWE programming. For all the criticism about the Bella Twins, one thing they do bring is viewership, is views on social media, is ratings. Just go and look at some of the YouTube videos of their run involving Ronda Rousey around Evolution. It's some of WWE's most viewed videos ever on YouTube. So the Bella Twins could be on their way back. Is there, an impact because Danielson's involved in AEW? I don't think so. I think obviously their legacy is largely built around their WWE tenure. So if they wanted to come back for one final run, it certainly could make sense, and they're not under contract to any pro wrestling company right now, so indeed, anything is possible when it comes to a Bella Twins return later on this year. So there you go, guys. That's 5 names, 5 ex-WWE superstars that could be set to return either imminently or later on this year. What do you think of those names? Let me know your reaction to them. Which ones are you excited the most, the least in seeing come back? Which ones do you agree with, disagree with? Let me know your hot takes. How would you book some of these stars to return if indeed they do return to WWE later on this year? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. A reminder, you can join the WN365 roster by clicking that join button. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content, match rewatch series, as well as gaming is coming for members. We're going to have retro games. We've got old SmackDown games on the PS1, the PS2. We've got TNA Impact on the Xbox 360, old WCW games, as well as the latest WWE games as well on the PlayStation 5. Appreciate everyone tuning in for this countdown video, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.